In this lesson, we're going to be talking about near field communication. Now, previously, we had talked a little bit about near field communication, where we were using near field communication in order to set up a Bluetooth connection between two devices. So, for example, if you have a smartphone and a smartwatch, you may bring the two together in order to establish a Bluetooth connection between them, since there's really no way for the watch to take much in the way of input other than touching the screen. So we need some other out-of-band, non-Bluetooth, non-IO type of functionality in order to get those two communicating. Near-field communication is actually useful for several other functions. One of them includes a proximity card. A proximity card is a badge that may be used at your workplace, and you swipe this badge or touch your badge to a reader so that you may be allowed access to a doorway that is otherwise locked. Proximity cards are used for several other things as well. Near-field communications may also be used in the case of something like a credit card, where you want to touch the credit card rather than actually swiping the credit card. You may use near-field communications for that as well. This is an electromagnetic signal that runs between the card and the reader, or whatever device you've got that actually is carrying the information that you need. So we've got this near-field communication possibility, and as I said, if you've got credit cards, they call these contactless payment systems. In other words, you're not swiping, you're not touching your card or moving your card within something, you're just getting it near the reader. Apple has announced they are going to be using near-field communication transactions with their Apple Pay program. Of course, Google had been using near-field communications for several things long before Apple was actually doing this. Now, in other parts of the world, we're talking primarily about the US, North America here. Other parts of the world, though, have been using contactless payment systems using smartphones for quite a while now. So near-field communications actually is around and is in use and is starting to actually pick up use quite a bit. So near-field communications actually gives us the ability to easily configure devices. For example, the Sphero robot devices like the Sphero and the Ollie both use near-field communications to actually establish a Bluetooth connection between some sort of smartphone or tablet and the device itself. So near-field communications is actually picking up use, and there are a lot of different areas where you will see near-field communications. Now, from a security perspective, there's not an awful lot you can do to intercept the communication unless you happen to be right next to the device that's doing the reading while the card or other facility is actually in close proximity to the reader. So you would actually have to do something like put a secondary device either right on the reader or over the top of the reader or something along those lines in order to capture information that's being transmitted back and forth. So near-field communication does have a lot of reasonably good features to it in terms of protecting the information that is being shared. That's not to say that's always going to be the case. Eventually, somebody's going to figure out how to grab information between the two of them. But this proximity requirement is actually a really good feature, meaning you can't actually be standing, for example, even 10 feet away and read what's going on between the reader and either the smartphone or the smart card and the proximity card. So near-field communication, definitely in use in a lot of areas. It is certainly in use to configure some inputless devices with Bluetooth or maybe Wi-Fi information so that they can actually get connected into other devices. And all you've got to do is touch your smartphone or your tablet to this sort of dumb device in terms of I/O. And that communication, that configuration can happen out of band from the primary communication, which would be Wi-Fi or Bluetooth once it's all configured.